Yahweh appeared to Abraham and said, to your Zerah I will give, whoa. Yahweh appeared. First, he had to restore himself by what?
Yes.
Getting out of his comfort zone, out of his flesh, out of Babylon, out of paganism, and be harmonized in the spirit realm to Yahweh. Then Yahweh appeared to him and said, look, this land that you are restored to, I'll restore the same land to your seed. I'll give it to your seed. You see that?
Hallelujah.
So to be the seed of Abraham means we have to be restored and be self-restored before we can restore others. We can have the right message, but be wounded messengers. If we are wounded, leaking messengers, leaky vessels who are so wounded and so hurt in so many areas of our life that have not experienced tikkun or restoration, we can have the right message. Yahweh's not going to use us. He's not going to bring our Zerah into the land. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Amen. Again, we see Yahweh appearing to him with a physical promise of physical multiplicity. And we see that again in Bereshit 13:14. Why does Abraham receive the promise of physical multiplicity in Bereshit 13:14? Because he crossed over and obeyed Yahweh. He reconciled, he brought into harmony the what? The spiritual and the physical. And then he got the promise, now as you've done to yourself, so shall your descendants be.
Hallelujah.
As you are.
Hallelujah.
That's right.
A man or a woman or a Nazarene Israelite can only produce after their own kind.
Hallelujah.
If you're stable, you'll produce stable disciples.
Yes, yes.
Hallelujah.
If you're faithful, you will produce faithful disciples. If you're set apart, you'll produce set apart disciples.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Amen.
Go to Bereshit. Yahweh says, look, you've experienced tikkun. You brought tikkun between the heavenly realm and the physical realm. Now, and you've crossed over. Lech lecha, you've gone out. You've done it. You've accomplished it. Now watch. Abraham dwelt in the land of Canaan. You missed that. Verse 12. Where did Yahweh appear to him now? In tikkun or out of tikkun? In the land. In tikkun. In restoration.
Yeah.
Well, brother, I used to. Not interested. I've always thought, who cares? Yahweh will appear to you in restoration. And when you're faithful to follow through on what he has shown you, he'll reveal even more.
Amen.
Can we talk?
Amen.
Can we talk?
Go ahead.
Yes, go ahead.
This idea that everybody's equal in the kingdom, it's a joke. That's not biblical. He who ascended gave gifts to men. Some men have the gifts, some men don't have the gifts. He who ascended, we're not talking about Moby Dick. We're not talking about Mickey Mouse. He who ascended first descended, and then when he ascended, he gave gifts to men. Nevi'im, Morim, Shlichim, Roim. Is everyone a Roe? Is everyone a Shaliach? Well, we're all equal. Yeah, that's what the Sunday system taught you. We're not all equal. Now, we don't say that boastingly. We say that because with authority comes responsibility. Tremendous responsibility. To whom much is given, much is required. So we don't say that in a boastful spirit. To whom much is given, much is required. So the point is, Yahweh will commission you with tikkun when he finds you in tikkun. Then he'll appear to you.
Hallelujah.
Not in unbelief, not in insecurity, not in instability, not I'm not sure, I don't know, I'm not sure, I don't know, but you know you're not using your ears properly, you know you're not using your mouth properly, you know you're not using your feet, but you don't know, but you do know that you have no sin and that you're guiltless. And like we say here, we were discussing with the elders the other day, the people that get put outside the camp and they want to get healed, they always come back, they're always welcome.
Amen.
You understand? They want tikkun, they want restoration.
Amen.
But it's the people who go, I don't have any problems. Why are you on the phone talking about Rebbetzin and Rivka every darn week? What is your problem? I don't have a problem. And it's because of that, you cannot get restored. It's just a personality thing. No, it's not. clothe yourself with the right attitude.
Amen.
And you won't have that personality conflict anymore.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
Baruch Hashem. Am I talking to anybody here?
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Talking to everybody here.
Baruch Hashem, yeah. He's on commission. Baruch Hashem. Bereshit 13. Now look. Yahweh said to Abraham. This is in Bereshit 13:14. Yahweh said to Abraham. Where are we here? Look to the place northward, southward, eastward, and westward. You're going to tikun all the olam. Hello? No talking, please. Pay attention. Abraham, look north, south, east, and west. You're going to tikkun the entire olam. Can you handle it? Well, I called you. I know you can handle it. Isn't that our calling in this last days? To bring the restoration of all things?
Amen. All things.
Amen.
Look at this. The land which you see. Did you get that? You've got to see that there's a part of your earth that the kingdom hasn't come to. When you see there's a part of your earth that needs to be redeemed, that's why Yeshua said, he that endures to the end, he shall be delivered. I don't care if your mama and Bozo the Clown walked in the aisle 49 years ago in the first Lutheran church of the sundial. Are you running the Torah race? Are you walking the prescribed? Are you taking the prescription? Are you taking the prescribed medicine? Are you taking Torah? Or are you making up your own holidays? You know what the alternative to rejecting the law is? Chaos. Christmas, Easter, chaos with a little paganism mixed in.
Halloween.
Lift up your eyes. The land which you see. Did you get that? In the Remez, what is he saying? You've got to see the land that needs tikkun before you can go out and tikkun the olam. And the reason Abraham is special, there is no area of the land that he's not willing to turn over to me for tikkun. That's why Abraham became the father of the faith.
Hallelujah.
He wasn't the first to know the truth. Adam knew the truth. Adam and Chava knew the truth.
Amen.
But they fell away. You always said, no problem. Do you like going on trips? Not really. I always said, hop in the back seat. I'll drive you right out of Eden. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. I will give it to you, and not just to you, Avraham, but to your Zerah. What Zerah? What were we talking about before with Asquith? Zerah? Matchmaking? What is this, a dating service? Yeah. Yeah. We're going to fill the nations with Abraham's seed. Hello?
Amen.
That's what it means to be like our Father, who was willing to make matches in order to fill the nations and light the nations with his matchmaking. Not only was he the father of faith, he was a matchmaker. Who was Eliezer? Of the Meshech. Abraham's servant. He said, don't come back without a bride for my son. The son that he probably didn't have. He didn't believe he was going to have. But then when Yitzchak popped up, he goes, oops. Another part of my land that's been tikkuned.
Yes. Hallelujah.
That's what it means to be a believer, to undergo continual tikkun, restoration. Salvation is not a one-time thing. Salvation means you're in the kingdom. Now what? Are you going to vegetate? Are you going to be so bummed out that you cannot do anything? And then, when it's time to redeem that mentality, you don't seek out and seek for the truth. Now watch this. Because you lech lecha, or because you what? You left that stuff behind, I will make your zera as the dust of the earth. But you missed that.
Hallelujah.
Not just physical multiplicity. I will make him as teachable and as willing to change and be molded into my image, because dust is moldable. Dust can be swept. Dust can be moved. Dust can be relocated. Dust can be rearranged, ladies. You know what I'm talking about. Especially when companies come and you want to rearrange your dust right under the bedroom, under the bed. So Yahweh says, you are the father of the Tikun HaOlm. Because I will produce seed like yourself who are willing to be tikkuned in their earth. Then you can tikkun the land of Israel, but ultimately all the nations. I'll make your seed like dust, meaning what? Teachable. Hello? Hello?
Hello, hello.
Should I stop now?
No. Go ahead.
Thank you. And I will make your zera as the dust of the earth. If a man can number, then it could be numbered. Now, verse 17. Arise, walk through the land in the length, in the width. I will give it to you. Meaning every area of your life that you are willing to give to Yahweh, He will give back to you.
Amen. Hallelujah.
That's what that means.
Okay.
Every area of your life that you're willing to give to Yahweh. Okay, Father, if you want to choose my mate, go right ahead. Father, if you want to choose where I live, where I minister, where I work, go right ahead. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. And you can tell other people how Tov Yahweh is, how good and Tov Yahweh is, because you've been experienced Tikun. All those willing to cross over will be dealt with by Yahweh in the same way Abraham was. Abraham rose to a level where his eyesight made no difference. Well, there's nobody coming to the Yeshua. I'm going to go to Trinidad. He's not here this week. All those willing to cross over for Tikun. What does it mean? What does it mean for Abraham to leave Ur of the Chaldees and enter the land of Canaan? What was that? He offered himself to Yahweh. He couldn't offer Yitzchak until he offered himself.
Come on.
Amen. You can't expect your children to serve Yahweh when you're not faithful.
Amen. Hallelujah.
That's right.
Amen.
That's right.
Proclaim it.
So, Abraham crossed over and then Yahweh appeared to him. But if we cross over like Abraham, we'll be dealt with like Abraham was, in love, in compassion, and in restoration. But when we cross over, we will no longer receive divine revelation only, but the appearing of Yahweh in our lives and the commissioning to proclaim the Tikun. What was the difference between Moshe and Aharon? And Miriam. Miriam heard about Yahweh through visions and dreams and prophecy. But Moshe knew him face to face.
Yes.
So much for the we're all equal in the kingdom thing. There are people far greater in the kingdom than I am, and I'll never be their equal. And it'd be foolish for me to try to be their equal.
Amen.
With the lie that, well, we're all equal. No, because we're not all willing to cross over daily as Abraham. So that crossing over to become a vessel of Tikun is an ongoing daily process. You don't cross over once 100 years ago. Am I preaching to anybody?
Amen. Go ahead.
Is to make children like Abraham who continually cross over. When you cross over, you become commissioned to become a restorer of the breach.
Amen. And only.
But, turn to your neighbor and say, but for everybody that crosses over, Yahweh needs to mark us. That's a tov mark, a good mark. Everyone who crosses over receives a mark.
Yeah.
Now, we're not talking about the towel on the steeple that you see on the corner. That ain't no cross, that's a towel. Okay? It's a pagan symbol. You got to get Rob Miller's teachings from the conference. You'll be crying and laughing at the same time. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. So this calling on Abraham for Tikun needed a physical mark, but there was only one problem. There was one problem. Abraham was ready for an old age home. How old was Abraham? How old was Abraham? 99. But But with this week's Torah portion, we find Abraham reaching a full tikkun because the physical follows the spiritual. They're harmonized together.
Hallelujah.
How many years did it take for the physical and the spiritual to be harmonized in Abraham's life? 99 years or 100 years of faithfulness. 100 years of faithfulness. I'm still in the same place. I'm still the same. I'm still this. I'm still that. It took 100 years of faithfulness before Yahweh chose to harmonize the spiritual with the physical in order to reproduce Abraham in all the nations.
That's right.
Hallelujah.
If you walk like Abraham, you are the seed of Abraham because you've experienced personal tikkun. Now go bring tikkun to the nations.
Yes.
Hallelujah.
Baruch Hashem Yahweh.
Hallelujah.
Go with me, please, to Bereshit. Thank you. You'll get your check in the mail, brother. Bereshit 17:9. You like those sitcoms when the audience is quiet, they put on a tape. Everybody's quiet. They put on a tape, you know, just to make you think something's happening. But this is real. Matter of fact, because it's real, I'll hold back the commission. Bereshit 17:9. And Elohim said to Abraham, "You shall keep my covenant, therefore, you and your Zerah after you in their generations. This is my covenant that you shall keep between me and you, and the Zerah after you." Here is the mark or the seal of the harmonizing of the tikkun of the spirit realm and the physical. Every male child among you shall enter, what? Brit Milah. Another word today we read was Aralah, or circumcision. I chose Brit Milah to keep consistency. "And you shall Brit Milah the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be a token of the covenant between you and me. He that is 8 days old shall be circumcised. Every male child in all your generations, not till Yeshua comes, not till Yeshua shows up, all your generations. He who was born in the Bayit, in Beit Yehuda, or those who are Gers, who are returning from the nations in a latter-day context, Ephraim, who are not of your physical seed, it doesn't matter. Everyone that is associated with you must have a mark in their flesh. It doesn't matter if they were born in Beit Yehuda. Everyone associated and affiliated with you must be marked as a person of tikkun. You read my lips and read it good. Circumcision is for every male believer. If you are not circumcised, it is because you are reading the epistles of Paul through a spirit of stupidity or a Greco-Roman mindset. Before you read Paul, you ought to know the Torah backwards and forwards. And when you know the Torah backwards and forwards, you'll see Paul said to be circumcised, and I'll talk about that in a second.
Right.
If Rav Shaul taught against Brit Milah, he was saying, don't be a restorer of the world. Don't bring Tikun HaOlm. And what I'm doing with Timothy, I'm circumcising him, but I really shouldn't be, meaning I'm a hypocrite. Don't do what I say, just don't do what I do, just do what I say. If Rav Shaul didn't believe in circumcision, why did he take Timothy and circumcise Timothy? And Timothy had a Greek father, did he not? Did Timothy not have a Greek father? And is not progenitory from Scripture through the father, not Judaism through the mother, through the Scripture, progenitory is through the father. Didn't Paul know it was through the father? Why was he circumcising Timothy? Because you and I have been lied to that circumcision is just for the Jews. No, it's not. It's for anybody associated with Abraham. Read it here. Let's go back. Every male child born in the Bayit or out of the Bayit. Born in a native situation or out of a native situation. Must be circumcised until my son Jesus comes and muerta la cruz de Jesus. Is that what it says?
No.
Not what it says. What does it say? It says, this shall be an everlasting covenant.
Everlasting.
Not just for you, but for everyone who associates with you through your faith. Are we on?
Wrong.
Are we going? So after 100 years of spiritual elevation and progressive sanctification, Abraham merits reaching a level where his inner search is over, and now his outer acts will be restored and match his inner circumcision. Hello? So Brit Milah was performed after 100 years of a journey. That's what HaOlm speaks of in Galut Yah. The epistle is to reprimand the Judaizers from Jerusalem who go, you believe in, you know the Torah? Doesn't matter. Eat pig? Doesn't matter. Let's start you off with a nice Brit Milah. Give me the flesh and I'll feed you. Drop your drawers, I make a quick cut, and give me $20, we call it even. That's what they were doing. These new Ephraimites who were returning after 2,700 years in the sun, living like Bet Achav and like Isabel, they were coming back with all their idolatry, all their whoredom, and they had been 2 weeks in Yeshua, and boom, the Pershim ran down from Jerusalem and go, ooh, new believers, now join the circumcision club. And Yahweh says, if you do that, you haven't harmonized the physical and the spiritual. Before Abraham could receive the mark of approval in his flesh, he had to be harmonized within himself and to Yahweh and before man.
Amen.
That's what he said.
That's what the book of Galatians is all about. Circumcision? No, absolutely. If someone does not understand what it means to be an Israelite, to keep the Moadim, to keep the Shabbat, to walk in the complete halakha of Yahweh and Torah, don't you dare circumcise him. That's what Galatians is all about. If Paul, a Jewish rabbi, taught against the sign, the eternal sign of Abraham, he should be taken out and stoned. Moreover, you give me a pair of scissors and let's rip out his epistles from the Bible, because they don't belong there. But see, the weak believers, they actually believe that Paul doesn't belong there, that his epistles should be taken out. Because they don't understand, he was not preaching against circumcision, he was preaching in favor of a person having Tikun HaOlm before Brit Milah.
Before. Hallelujah.
If you want to be Brit Milah, first you have to become Tikun Olam, meaning your earth needs to be harmonized.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
Baruch Hashem Yahweh.
Hallelujah.
You think about what I'm telling you. It took 100 years for Abraham to be harmonized, and these guys have been saved for 3 days, and the Judaizers are running down from Jerusalem with their scissors? You gotta be kidding! It took Abraham 100 years to get to the point where Yahweh gave him the sign of Brit Milah.
Easier to go back down.
Hey, Rabbi, I'm confused. My pastor told me I didn't need to be circumcised. Okay, no problem. Yahweh says, if you're not circumcised, you're outside the covenant. Your pastor told you don't need to, you're outside the covenant. You can't claim to have the faith of Abraham and not have the mark of Abraham.
Amen.
You're outside the covenant. Smoke that one in your religious pipe. Radical stuff.
Amen.
I know that JWs don't teach this. I know the SAs don't teach this. I know a lot of Messianics who don't teach this. Not interested. Yahweh taught it. If you're from his house, or if you're a stranger who's joined his house through the latter-day Ephraimite return, it doesn't matter. You've got to harmonize your life like Abraham, or don't claim to be his Zerah.
That's right.
The only ones that are exempt from Brit Milah are ladies. Honey, if you're not a lady, you need to get clipped. The ladies are exempt. They have separate issues. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Don't think, don't talk, don't breathe. Right now you just want to move on. Don't this is when the preacher goes, as I was saying,